Hello, in this video I'm going to give you a brief overview of how to play Luzon Rails. I'm also going to take you through a demo turn or two. Here we have the game set up for 3 players. I have the 3 players on the left here. Each one's being given 25 pesos, here, and they have 2 action cards, secret, okay, just known to them. The board itself is laid out with 7 action cards along the bottom. The round tracker is placed on round 1. We've got 5 dice here that track the value of each company, and these are all left with the 1 pip showing face up, and they're all on the 0 spot of the dividend chart. Okay. In this game, you never actually roll the dice. The value showing on it is just tracking the potential for that particular company. The companies are all set up. We have put the shares into each of their different company sections and sorted out the colors of the cubes. We also have the development tokens here, and we are good to go. If you want to play with the expansion, you could now take these private companies, and add them to our 5 companies here. And all you do in that instance is you just follow the instructions on each card. So each of the 5 companies would gain 1 of these. It's a small ability. For example, this one's very simple. When founding this company, add 1 pip to the company die. Nice and easy. If I gave that to Mayon, for example, I would simply just take their dice and change it to a 2 at the beginning of the game. You'll see how the effects of that shortly. But they're all different. They all have different kind of nuances and variability to the different companies in the game. All right, but we're not going to use this today. I'll put those aside, and we can begin. So, before the game begins proper, we first have an auction for each of these 5 different companies. One at a time, they put a share up for auction. We begin with Klingson, and the players bid for it. So we go over here. Maybe this player wants to pay 6 pesos. Maybe they bid 7. They bid 8, 9. Maybe they pass. 10. Maybe they pass. And now this person gets it for 10. Okay, so they take 10 pesos, and this goes into the company, okay? Not back to the bank, into the company itself. They take the share, that's theirs now, and they take 1 cube, from the company, and they add it to one of these star locations. There's 1 here, 1 up at the top, 1 there. You have 2 down in the south here as well. Okay, so if they've got first pick, they'll choose a good spot. They'll go right there. Okay, then we go to the pink company. We auction 1 of these shares, and this player gets to place first bid. 5, 6, 7, pass. 8, 9, pass. They get it for 9 pesos. Okay, so and then this money goes to the treasury for the pink company. We take a pink cube, and that player gets to choose where to put it. I'll put it there. Fine. And they get the share. Then we go to the yellow one. Same thing again. So let's just pretend. Let's pretend the top player gets that one, and they pay, let's say 11 for that. It's a pretty good price to pay. Okay, that's fine. And they place the yellow cube there. And then we go to our ECH, and the same thing again. Let's just pretend that this player bought it for that much, and they get the share. Yep. And then they take a green cube and they place it up at the top there. Oops. And then last of all, Mayon. Let's say this player wins it, and they paid this much. That's 6 pesos. That goes there. They take the brown cube and they place it onto the only remaining spot, which is here. So you have a bit of a disadvantage if you win this one, because you don't have any choice of where to begin the company. However, you do get to play first. Okay, so sometimes it can work in your favor. Also bear in mind that placing the initial cubes had no cost to it, okay? Particularly relevant for this spot right there. No cost to place those cubes. Alright, then we begin the game proper. On your turn, beginning with whoever just won this share, you take 1 of the cards along the bottom of the board, or 1 of the cards from in your hand, and you play it, taking the action on that card. There are only 4 actions in the game, so I'll begin with the most common one, which is building track. So the player who owns the Mayon share decides to build track. You can build up to 4, which can be 0 if you want to. You don't have to take the actions on the cards. You could simply just discard it for no effect. Sometimes that is to your benefit to do that. But right now, they own the share. They want the company to do well, so they're going to build 4 track. To do that, they take track from the company, and you must build connecting to an existing piece of company track. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, very, very important. The person who pays for that is not you. It's not the player. It's the company that pays for that. All right. The money's going to come from their treasury. And how much did this cost? Well, these kind of empty hexes, they cost 1 to place in, unless there happens to be another company already there. So later on, if yellow decides to start working its way up here and goes into here, it will actually cost it 2. All right. And later on, if somebody else comes in, it's going to cost them 3 to go in there. The shaded hexes is difficult terrain. It could be swamplands, marshes, mountains, something like that. Okay, these cost 2 to place in. Okay, and also only 1 company can go in there, so yellow cannot do that. All right, unfortunately for yellow. That's all the costs you need to consider when placing tokens, track even. So placing these 4 cost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that comes from the company, not from the player. There's no way for the player to directly pay for placing track. Okay, it always has to come from the company. Now it goes from that company back to the bank. Over there. Now, whenever you do build track, though, you're also going to increase the value of your company for doing that. We've got 4 different things that can increase the value of your company. These ones here, these are production cities. Okay, so they're making goods. And every time you hit one of these, you can look at the key at the top of the board. You gain 1 stock value and increase your dice by 1. All right. So they've hit 1, 2. So they're going to gain 2 stock value for brown. And they're going to increase the dice value 2 times. So now it's going to show a 3. Okay. There are other locations you can connect to. For example, if I go over here, I've now hit a port city, and you can see over here that the port cities, your stock value goes up by whatever is currently showing on your dice. So, because Brown has hit 3 on his dice, if he was to go there, he'd jump all the way up to 5. Okay? But right now he hasn't done that, so let's just put these back and reset this to 2. Okay. Other locations you can connect to are these little villages. By themselves, they don't do anything, but they have potential to be used for another action I'll show you in a second. And you can connect to Manila over here. If you connect to the capital Manila, you immediately gain 3 on this stock track, on the dividend chart even, and you trigger a payout as well, which I'll show you shortly. So that's building track, nice and straightforward. Other things you can do. So that's the end of that player's turn. We go to the next player, this guy over here. So he's got 2 companies, Klingson and ECH. He can do any action affecting those companies. So for example, he could also build track if he wants to, or if she wants to. But let me just show you some of the other things that can happen. This one's nice and straightforward. Grant company 5 pesos. Easy. Alright, you play the action. Maybe the player is doing this because they want to remove this, or maybe the company is poor, you know. So they're trying to choose the top action on this card. Grant the company 5 pesos. That comes from the bank. And he's going to put it in ECH or Klingson. Let's see, ECH seems pretty poor actually, so they can take it. Okay, and they're going to use that later on to build track. Particularly useful if you're stuck. And then we're going to go back to player at the top here. They only have yellow, so they can do things that affect yellow. And you see I cheated earlier and gave yellow some extra space, didn't I? Let's imagine we have this situation. So yellow has actually got a cube on this little village here. So this player would now be able to use the development action, of which there aren't any available on the board. Do they have it in hand? No, they don't. I'm going to cheat again and pull one out. There we go. So the development action, which is this little cog symbol, lets them develop a village. Okay, so they take the card and they discard it. Remember, this is always optional. You never have to do anything on the card. You can discard it for no effect. But right now, they're going to do it. So they take one of these fellas here and they place it on a village. Cool. Now, you could place it on any village on the map. The player could well have just plunked it over here if they wanted to. Okay. The effect of a developed village is that any company connected to it, over here you can see, they immediately gain 3 stock value, or they add 3 to the company treasury. Okay. Right now, you would really want to be adding stock value. So if yellow looks like this, they would actually already be showing a 3 on their die, and they'd be right there on top of brown. If you played the development action, it would gain 3 value. 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay. Then we would go to Mayon, and maybe this player here, they've got Mayon and they have Cabazan. Okay, maybe they would do the auction share. They would do this because they've got a lot of money on hand. Okay, and it puts them at a good advantage. Fine, so they take one of these cards here, and they do auction share. Now, to do an auction share, you pick any of these 5 companies. Let's say maybe they want to get a monopoly on ECH and control all the shares for it. That could be interesting. Or maybe they see that yellow is doing pretty well and they want to kind of steal some of that money. So maybe they would pick Sigtala Railways and they would say, okay, putting this up for auction. They choose a starting price. 1, maybe. They don't really care if Sigtala has money in its treasury. They just want the shares. So they say 1. We have a bit of a bidding war. 2, 3. Maybe they don't want to let this share go because they would rather keep a monopoly, I think, on Sigtala. 4, 5, 6, and so on and so on. Maybe this would go for maybe like, I'd say this person would really fight for it. Maybe they end up paying 12. Yeah. Remember, this money goes into the company treasury. Sigtala is now rich. They can build loads of track. And they get the share card. Okay, fine. This player now. Okay, so they could be evil. They could take auction share again. They could choose Sigtala again. This is the last Sigtala share. They only have, as you can see here, 3 in the game. Other companies have different amounts, 4 shares, 5 shares. So maybe they've chosen this one. And now they place a starting bid. They've got a bit of money. Maybe they say 7. Uh-oh, this player's only got 2 pesos. They're out of the auction. They won't be able to complete their monopoly on it there. This player's got 10. I think they'd say 10. Back to this player. They're outbid. They can't match it. So this player gets it for 10. There you go. They give their money to Sigtala, who is now loaded. And that was their turn. Finished. We go back to this player at the top. No doubt pretty worried, but they've got 2 shares in Sigtala. They've got loads of money. They've got these build track actions here, here, and here. I think they would take this. They want to get rid of the auction share action. They don't want anybody else to be auctioning shares this round, especially because everyone's broke except for this player. They'd be able to get the shares for very little money. So they'd probably take this, discard it, and build some track for Sigtala. Sigtala, sorry. Maybe they do this. Okay, that's going to cost them 3. It would come out of the company treasury. I cannot see. I'll just throw that away. Okay, they spent 3 to do that from the company treasury, and the value of the company goes up by 2, and the pip go up by 2 as well. So now it's showing 5. Down to this player. They're not going to waste their time developing Sigtala because let this player do all the work and you just earn the money, They probably want to focus on Cabazan and Mayon. Yeah, that would make sense. They'd take one of these. They would probably, I think, with the end of this round coming up soon, probably want to develop Kabasan, get some money going on. So they probably would put in 4 cubes like that. That would give them +1 on the pip, on the dice for building here, and then +2 up here as well. So the total they would gain would be 3, and then their dice would show a number 2. Okay, for that action there. Then this player, if they want, they don't want the round to end just yet. If they play this card, the round will end. Maybe they play a card from hand instead. Oh, man. They could auction a share. Evil. Alright, they're going to do that. Who do they want to get involved with? Probably pink. So they would take a share from Kabasan. They would look at their opponents. Money's not secret. This player's only got 2. So they probably just said 2. They paid 2. Nobody else can fight for it. The auction is already over. Okay. This goes to the company. This player gets the share. Back to this player. Well, they want the round to end. They have no money. They need to get paid. And everyone gets paid at the end of the round. So they take the only remaining card, this one here, build up to 4 track, like that. And they're about to do a great move with Sanagtala. They take 4 track. They're going to build here. That costs 2. That costs 3, 4, and maybe this one. They don't have to use it. Maybe they won't bother. Okay. So they spend their 4 money. So that goes to the bank. There we go. And the value goes up by nothing for that. Nothing for this one. Nothing for this undeveloped village. But then they have hit a port city. So the value goes up by whatever value, whatever pip is showing on the dice. The yellow dice is currently showing a 5. So they're going to go up to that's 12. Amazing. Okay. Now, all the cards are gone. It's the end of the round. As you can see, it plays very, very quickly if everyone knows what they're doing. End of the round is very straightforward. This little symbol here means you get paid. Okay. So as the round tracker is moving along, everyone gets paid. We move down the companies in order, and we look where their dice is on the dividend chart. So the red company, nothing. No one's going to get paid for that, unfortunately. The pink company is at value 3, okay? And you look at how many shares have been sold. There are 2 shares in players' hands, so you take 3 and divide by 2, and you round it up. So each player is going to get 2 money, okay, 2 pesos. It's actually each share would get 2 pesos. So if this player owned them both, even though it's only worth 3, they would actually earn 4, 2 for each of these. As it stands, each player from the bank is going to get 2. So finally, that player's got some more money to play with. Then we go to yellow. Yellow is worth 12, and there are 3 shares out, so each of these shares is going to be worth 4. So that player gets his 4, and this player is going to get 8, like that. And then we look at green, which is worth 0, and then brown is worth 2, and there is only 1 of those out. So this player in the middle here gets 2. Okay, that's it. We go into round 2. We resupply the action cards on the bottom. So we draw about 7 more of these. So I'm doing this one-handed. 2, 3, like that. Okay, and then we go into round 2. Exactly the same set of rules. On your turn, you pick a card to play, either from here or from hand. Now we've got a little bit more money flowing around the table. These auctions are going to be a bit more interesting this round. At the end of round 2, again, so you'll imagine these guys will have moved along. You know, you'll have something like this. Maybe, something like that will have happened. We'll all get paid even more money in round 2. And also, players are able to discard any cards left in their hand. So this player could discard this if he wants to, or she wants to. Same thing over here. If they have cards left, if they didn't play them, they can discard. And at the end of round 2, when you're resupplying the board, every player also draws back up to the hand of 2. Okay, so at this point, more actions become available for the players. We reshuffle the deck, go into round 3. The game ends. There are 4 different triggers when 3 companies have run out of cubes, okay, which represent track or trains. When 3 companies have no more shares remaining, so Cynic Tyler is already out of shares, okay, that could happen a lot sooner than you expect. When all of these 6 rounds have been played and you've been paid for the final time, or when only 3 of these are left. When any of those triggers happen, you finish off the round you're playing, you get paid for the end of that round, and it's game over. The winner of the game doesn't matter the state of these companies, all of this is irrelevant, all of this is irrelevant, how much money companies have. The winner is just whoever has the most cash in hand, which they've gotten through that dividend phase at the end of each round. So that's how to play and a sample first round for you, and let me know if you have any questions.